Hi there, and welcome to Out There, a cryptid podcast. I'm Josh, and today we're diving into a legend all of us have heard of, the mirror ritual that has terrified sleepovers for generations, and the stories from people who claim something actually answered back. This is the infamous Bloody Mary. Let's dive in. We've all heard the story, or at least the rules. Stand in front of a mirror, lights off, candle in hand, and say, Bloody Mary, 3 times. Some say she will appear behind you, pale and covered in blood. Others claim the mirror scratches itself, or that she reaches out, trying to pull you through. These stories have been told in sleepovers, bathrooms, and late-night dares for generations. And no matter how many times they are repeated, or how many people claim to have seen her, one question remains. Who is Bloody Mary really? And why do these stories never die? What makes the Bloody Mary legend so interesting is that it probably didn't start as a ghost story at all. Long before it became a sleepover dare, there were old divination rituals involving mirrors. In one of the earliest versions, young women would walk backward up a staircase holding a candle and a mirror, hoping to catch a glimpse of the face of their future husband in the reflection. But the terrifying twist was that instead of a husband, they might see a skull or the Grim Reaper, which was supposed to mean they would die before marriage. Over time, that old fortune-telling ritual evolved into something darker. By the late 1960s and 1970s, the version most people know today really started to take shape. Instead of predicting the future, it became a summoning ritual. The setting shifted almost entirely to bathrooms, because they are private, easy to darken, and almost always have a large mirror. The ritual itself changes depending on who is telling it. Some say you have to chant her name 3 times, others say 13, and some versions say you have to repeat it dozens of times. Some even say up to 100. In some stories, you spin in circles first, in others you hold a candle under your face, and some say the room has to be pitch black except for moonlight or a candle. The really fascinating thing is that Bloody Mary is not always the same person. Most of the stories people do not stare long enough to tell who she really is. Most say all they saw was a woman in the mirror before turning the lights on and running away. But those who stay long enough have described varying women, and some even noticeable historical figures. In some versions of the retellings, Bloody Mary's real name is Mary Worth, a mysterious woman whose story changes wildly depending on the region. Sometimes she is said to be a woman executed during witch trials. Others say she was horribly disfigured with red scars covering her face, and children mocked her by chanting her name until after her death, when her spirit began appearing in mirrors. There are even darker southern versions where Mary Worth is connected to slavery-era legends involving escaped slaves, but these are the retellings that could also be stories spun after sightings, more like urban legends. Then there is, however, a more historical theory that ties her to Queen Mary I of England, the woman many people know as the original Bloody Mary. During her reign in the 1500s, nearly 300 Protestants were burned at the stake, which gave her that infamous nickname, because of the bloody imagery and the name connection. a lot of people believe the legend eventually absorbed her reputation, and it turned into a supernatural figure, as if she was cursed to be covered in the blood of all of the people she had killed. Whether that is the true origin or just a later explanation is definitely hard to prove, but it helped cement the name in the urban legend culture for sure. Another wild theory links the legend to a woman named Elizabeth Bathory, the Hungarian countess accused of murdering hundreds of girls and allegedly bathing in their blood. She is not named Mary, obviously, but the blood-soaked female ghost imagery fits perfectly that some people think parts of her legend merged into the Bloody Mary myth over time. But it is one of those theories that sounds almost too perfect not to mention in the episode. One of the coolest, deeper folklore details is that some scholars think the ritual became popular among preteen girls because it works as a kind of fear ritual around puberty. Now, there is a ton of speculation and legends around girls being very in touch with the supernatural when they turn 13, but that's a whole nother topic we'll have to cover another time. But going back to this idea, the bathroom setting, the mirror, the blood imagery, the whispered names in the dark, it all lines up with that weird age where kids are testing bravery, identity, and fear. Folklorists have even argued that the ritual spread as a kind of shared intuition game, especially at sleepovers, where the fear is half the fun. And that is why the legend never stays in one form. Sometimes Bloody Mary is a ghost, sometimes she is a witch, sometimes she is a demon, a warning spirit, or even just your own mind, turning shadows into faces in the mirror. But the deeper you dig, the more it feels like Bloody Mary is less one woman and more a legend built from centuries of fears about mirrors, death, blood, and what might be waiting in the dark reflection looking back at you. As the Bloody Mary legend spread, the ritual stayed mostly the same, but the stories people told about what happened after started taking on a life of their own. Some of the most common urban legend stories are the ones almost everyone has heard in some version. We've already talked about it, but it's the saying her name 3 times in the mirror, her face appearing behind you, sometimes described as a woman with long, dark hair, sometimes an old woman with hollow eyes, and sometimes a blood-covered version of your own face. Another one of the most repeated stories is the mirror scratch story. This is the classic sleepover tale where a group of kids crowd into a dark bathroom, chant her name, and one of them suddenly screams. When the lights come on, there are long red scratches across their cheek, neck, or sometimes even the mirror itself. The details always change depending on who tells it, but the point is always the same. Bloody Mary made contact. In some versions, the scratches are supposed to prove she tried to pull someone through the mirror. That is one of those details that became such a huge part of the legend, because it gave people something physical to point to, even if it was probably just panic, fingernails, or imagination taking over. Then there's probably the most Hollywood version, the school bathroom story. Every school somehow seemed to have one bathroom that was creepier than the rest. The one with the flickering lights, a mirror with weird marks, or the stall in the back nobody liked using. The bathroom almost always became the Bloody Mary bathroom. The legend usually goes that a group of girls tried the ritual there during recess or after school, and one of them ran out screaming that she saw a woman in the mirror. By the next day, everyone in school had heard about it, and suddenly, nobody wanted to use the bathroom anymore. These stories spread so easily because they were local. It was not some random story from far away. It was always a friend of a friend, an older sibling, or someone in the grade above you who supposedly really saw her. Another common version is the reaching out story, which is honestly one of the darkest. In this one, Bloody Mary does not just appear. She reaches through the mirror. Sometimes she grabs a wrist, sometimes she pulls hair, and in some versions, she actually drags the person into the reflection. This is where the legend really leans into the mirror as a portal idea, like the glass itself becomes a doorway. A lot of later horror movies and internet stories build on this version because it turns a simple dare into something way more supernatural. One story type that is linked to the Bloody Mary tale is the punishment story. This is the version where someone does the ritual as a joke, laughs, and says they don't believe in Bloody Mary. Then something bad happens right after. Maybe they trip leaving the bathroom, the candle goes out on its own, they hear whispering later that night, or they wake up with scratches they cannot explain. These stories are less about seeing her and more about the curse following you after the ritual is over, which honestly makes it feel even creepier, because the danger is no longer trapped in the bathroom mirror. What makes all of these stories so powerful is that they are never told like just a ghost story. They are always told like they happened to someone close enough to be believable. A cousin at summer camp, a girl at school, your older sibling's friend, someone who had no reason to lie. That friend of a friend style is exactly why Bloody Mary became one of the most lasting urban legends ever. The ritual is simple, the setting is familiar, and the stories are just believable enough that every generation keeps passing them down. Most of these stories have one thing in common. They are not coming from official reports or anything you can really verify. They come from people like us, friends, classmates, family members, and now more than ever, people online. And that is where the legend has really found a new life, because if you look through places like Reddit, you will find hundreds of people sharing their own experiences, claiming they tried the ritual and actually saw something staring back at them. Some of them sounded like classic urban legends, but others get way more detailed and way more personal, and honestly a lot harder to just brush off. So, now let's get into some of the most chilling stories people have shared about their own encounters with Bloody Mary. The first story was posted a year ago by the user Afterplan9482. Yes, in middle school. I did it in the school's bathroom with a group of girls. We checked the bathroom to make sure it was empty. Then, instead of standing in front of the mirrors, we stood in front of the bathroom door to block anyone from entering. Then we said it first 3 times, and then 13 times. Nothing happened, so we stayed, just saying it over and over again, with variations like, "Mary, we have your baby. Mary, we don't believe in you." Just general taunts and insults. The stall door, furthest from us, opened and slammed by itself, and on the wall, we saw a shadow person. It was running from the stall door that slammed towards the mirrors that were on the opposite wall. The mirror started having this strange green foggy quality to it, which was strange because the lights were on and nobody was looking into it closely or directly. After that, we ran like hell out of there, crying. I had a fear of mirrors for years after that. Stories like this are exactly why Bloody Mary has stuck around for so long. You start out thinking it's just a silly dare, something to try with your friends, and then suddenly it feels like the mirror itself is alive. The shadow moving across the wall and the fog in the glass, those little details are the ones that stay with you for long after you leave the bathroom. And while this story is scary on its own, some people have reported encounters that go even further, with mirrors cracking, strange lights, and sights that are impossible to explain. One person who played the game in their own home remembers a moment that made everything escalate in a way even more terrifying. I tried it many, many, many times during childhood with the neighborhood kids. It never worked, until finally, one time it did. I think I was about 9 or 10, and my mom had just installed these large full-length mirrors into each one of our rooms. My room was at the furthest and darkest end of the house. We played Bloody Mary in there a lot. One day we played the game several times in a row, and on one of the times, something was different. We all saw something different too. I saw that time slowed down, super slow, and there was a flash of light. Then a crack slowly blossomed in the mirror. One of the others saw a woman with a candle. Another saw wind blowing in the room with the curtains moving, but there was not actual wind in the room, and the windows were closed. We ran out of the room screaming, and I got in trouble for breaking my brand new mirror. It's easy to hear this story from the user Fireliocious and think it's just a mirror cracking, just kids playing a game. But the detail sticks with you. The flash of light, the curtains moving when there's no wind, the candlelit figure are all moments that make you question what's real. And while this one ends with a broken mirror and some scared kids, for others the encounters get even more strange, if that's believable. Some people hear things, see figures that aren't there, or experience moments that feel like time itself slows down. One person who tried the ritual with a sibling even heard crying coming from behind a shower curtain. Something so real and desperate, it made them freeze in place. Me and my brother were desperate to have any kind of paranormal encounter, and we both figured Bloody Mary would be the easiest way to do so. We went into the bathroom, locked it, and prepared ourselves for anything to happen. We said Bloody Mary 3 times and waited, hearing nothing, and figuring we had to say it 13 times. Around the 18th or 19th time we said it, we were interrupted by the saddest and almost desperate sobbing coming from a woman. The sound came from behind a shower curtain. It sounded like someone has just experienced a painful loss. We looked at each other, and we elbowed each other to check it out, to which I fearfully tore the shower curtain open, finding nothing. The sound had stopped when I got closer to the shower anyway, and I always figured I either had a close call or my brother was just messing with me. However, I do wonder how he would have made such a sound without the help of smartphones or speakers that we have today. Now that one really gets under your skin, because it isn't just about what they see, it's about what they hear. A sound coming from somewhere it shouldn't be. That makes a whole bathroom feel wrong. They start wondering what's real and what's not, and suddenly a normal space feels dangerous. But the interesting thing is that they didn't see her. So this story makes us question, is Bloody Mary really evil? Or did something terrible happen to her? And this experience is exactly what a lot of other people experience as well, because some of the other stories go even further. This next story comes from the user JVM0, and it was posted about 5 years ago. Back in elementary school, I walked into the 3rd grade bathroom. Each grade level had a separate wing and bathroom, and I saw a group of girls checking in all the stalls and talking excitingly. I asked what they were doing. They said they were about to play Bloody Mary. Having recently heard about the game, and out of curiosity, I asked if I could stay and watch. They said yes. They closed the door, turned off the lights, and chanted the name 7 times while turning around, facing the rows of mirrors. We turned to look towards the sound of the stall door in the furthest back corner, shaking, banging, moving in an abnormal, almost impossible manner, not opening and closing as a bathroom stall should, rapidly back and forth from top to bottom. Through the side slate of the door, I saw a female with dark hair and a long, dark burgundy dress, My knees wobbled like jello. I actually felt time slowed, and we were all frozen to our spots for what felt like an eternity, until someone screamed and time returned to us. We all ran screaming just outside the bathroom and stopped to catch our breath, then started talking about what we had just seen. Some passerby students stopped to listen and were a mixture of disbelief and fearful. A nearby teacher had to calm us. She said this was nonsense. This is why it was discouraged to even play this game. She insisted we all go back inside and investigate so she could prove that there was nothing there. Some refused, some agreed. Those of us who did, the initial group plus a few newcomers, cautiously went back in. The teacher started opening all of the stall doors. Empty. No one in any of them. She said either another student must have been part of it all as a setup, or was in the stall overhearing the plan and intentionally scared us and ran out after we all did. We had to tell her no one was in any of the stalls aside from the group. They had all checked beforehand. We told her we had ran out and stopped right outside the entrance/exit door, so it was impossible that anyone could have left without us all seeing them. She said no one was to use that bathroom the rest of the day without a staff member present, and anyone caught playing this game again, even heard mentioning the game Bloody Mary, was going to be in trouble. It was banned throughout the entire school. The door, and especially the dress, are the scenes I keep remembering. As I got older, I'd recall that it was reminiscent of something worn in earlier centuries. This one stuck out to me because it shows how powerful fear can be when more than one person experiences it. The way everyone froze, seeing something that shouldn't be there, makes it feel so real. It's stories like this that make you realize maybe the ritual isn't a silly game. Maybe this does go far beyond the realm we know and understand. And I want you to keep in mind the part where they say the dress was reminiscent something wore in earlier centuries, because it's going to play a part in this next one. But sometimes Bloody Mary doesn't just stay in the bathroom. She follows you in ways you wouldn't expect, which is exactly what the next story from the user Artist Expecting shows. When I was in 6th grade, a group of girls were trying to round everyone they knew to go into the girls' bathroom for some reason. I got pulled in because my friend wanted to go. She told me they want to try a scary game. I saw my other friend get pulled in too. Let's call her Claudia. Once we were inside, the girls explained the scary game and who they were trying to see. Claudia adamantly says this isn't real. It's just a story used to scare kids. Claudia loudly yells out, "No, not real. Whatever, let's just go on with it." So, we do the whole thing. Turn off the lights and turn on the hot water to let up the steam so the mirror can steam up. Nothing happened. So we all went out and Claudia goes, "See, I told you guys, it's all story. Wasted my recess time." The next day, Claudia came up to me and my group of girls and told us. I walked home and saw a black wallet on the ground at the front door. I picked it up and opened it. Inside was a black and white photo of a lady on a nice-looking chair. Looks like a throne. She was wearing those gowns like old-century ladies do, and the lady was staring at me. A note in red writing said, "These are the people I killed." Nothing else was in the black wallet. Claudia went to bed that night, and when she woke up, she had scratches on her back and arm. She said, "Well, I believe." She was distraught the entire day. The girls and I were in disbelief. Claudia took out the black wallet. We all inspected it, looked at the photo. I saw it. It's an old photo, and it's in black and white. She is there, as if she's looking straight at you. I remember it, till this day. I had no doubts at all. A week later, I was asleep, but woke up around 3 a.m. My parents had to work the night shift and would be home around 5 a.m. I felt a weird presence in my room. I didn't want to open my eyes because, dang it, all that happened with Claudia, and now I'm here in bed awake, scared to open my eyes. When I did, I quickly opened and closed my eyes. I was terrified. What I saw was a cut-off head that was of a pretty lady, and her mouth was open. Her hair was up like a royal. This story really leans into one of the most fascinating ideas about Bloody Mary, the whole royal connection. The photo, the gown, and the way her hair is done, like she's from another century. It all lines up with that image of a queen, a ruler from history. That's part of why so many people connect her to Queen Mary I of England, the original Bloody Mary. The idea that she would be this powerful, almost an untouchable figure, makes the encounters feel different, more ominous. It's not just a ghost in a bathroom. It's like a presence with history, with authority, and that makes it feel even more real and impossible to ignore. But of course, this is just one theory that we will get into after this last story we have. And this one pulls at a different theory. A theory that this might really be a demonic entity. I only tried it once with a friend of mine. We were about 15 years old. We were at a famous old bar where my friend's father and sister were singing on stage. They were kind of famous then and today. My friend and I saw at the back of the bar there was a roped off staircase. We were bored and decided to sneak up there and look around. What we found up there was kind of disappointing. It was just another bar not being used. There was no alcohol or anything. It looked like the owners had no intentions of using it for anything other than maybe storage. It was dark, but the moon must have been full that night, because the night sky was bright enough to give enough light through the windows to make out where and what everything was in the room, but still dark enough to be creepy as hell. My buddy saw the big mirror behind the bar that all bars typically have. He got super excited and suggested we do Bloody Mary. I nervously agreed. Looking into the mirror, we began saying Bloody Mary slowly, over and over. It was so dark that all we could see was us looking like shadows, but I could swear I was almost seeing my face, only it didn't look right. We kept on with the chant, Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary, and this face that wasn't mine became more clear, and it looked terrifying, like a demon. I wanted to stop, but my friend insisted we keep going, so I continued on. The room grew even darker, and I saw a human shape form slowly, take shape between us. Female, looking in shape, with long hair. We both saw her and yelled out with fear. We heard a growl and a loud bark coming from by the stairs. There was a huge dog there, looking as though it was freaked the hell out, and it ran down the stairs. We ran down the stairs and couldn't see a dog anywhere. This story comes from the user JDog180, and it really leans into the idea that Bloody Mary isn't just a ghost or a trick of the mind. The way the figure forms in the mirror and looks almost demonic, and then the dog appearing out of nowhere, it gives the whole encounter a completely different energy. It makes you wonder if that dog could be a hellhound, the supernatural guardian or omen, which fits the idea that Bloody Mary might be more than just a spirit from the past. Stories like this make her feel like a true demonic entity, something that can reach beyond the mirror and affect the world around her. All of these stories make it clear that something about the ritual gets under your skin, whether it's the figure in the mirror, the sounds, or even the scratches and physical evidence people report. But as chilling as these experiences are, there's always the question of what's really happening. Is Bloody Mary the ghost of a queen from centuries ago? A demonic force that can reach through mirrors? Or just a story that our brains turned into something terrifying when we believe hard enough? There are a few ways people try to explain it, and each one brings a different perspective to why the legend has lasted so long, and why it can feel so real when you're standing alone in a dark bathroom, staring at your own reflection. The first explanation is that she is a demonic or supernatural entity. Stories of mirrors cracking and the shadow figures moving, and that huge dog in that one story that appeared to vanish, all point towards something beyond the natural world. So, in this version, Bloody Mary is not just a ghost or a spirit, she is a force that can manipulate her environment. She can make sounds, move objects, appear and disappear, and even reach out to touch people. Anything that defies the rules of physics fits this idea, from curtains moving with no wind to sudden flashes of light. This theory leans into the idea that she is actively malevolent, not just a trick of the mind. The psychological explanation takes a very different approach, however. Staring into a mirror in a dimly lit bathroom while anticipating something scary can cause your brain to play tricks on you. This is called pareidolia, the tendency to see faces in random patterns like shadows in a mirror or the reflection of steam. Fear amplifies it. Add in adrenaline, maybe a lack of sleep and social pressure from friends, daring each other, and suddenly your mind is seeing things that aren't there. People might swear they see a figure or hear noises, and to them it feels completely real. This is why so many encounters follow the same patterns: scratches, shadows, ghostly faces. It is your own perception filling in the gaps, creating the experience. There's also the folkloric or coming-of-age angle. Some researchers suggest that the Bloody Mary ritual spread as a social test for preteens and young teens. Bathrooms provided a private space, mirrors amplified fear, and the ritual itself became a shared experience that tested bravery. The ritual became a kind of initiation, a way to bond with peers while confronting fears together. That's why it's so common at sleepovers, and why stories get passed down from one generation to the next. It's less about the supernatural and more about growing up, taking risks, and learning social rules in a controlled way. Pop culture has also reinforced this image too. Horror movies, television shows, and books about urban legends have standardized what Bloody Mary looks like. She's usually that long-haired woman covered in blood, appearing suddenly in a mirror. These portrayals combine different versions of the story into a single archetype. When people hear or see these versions, it shapes what they expect to experience, making encounters feel more real. Finally, there's the idea that mirrors themselves are special. Across cultures, mirrors are seen as portals to other realms, or as objects that can trap spirits. Bloody Mary fits perfectly into this type of superstition. The mirror is not just a surface reflecting you, it's a doorway. Foggy glass, cracks, or strange reflections are all part of how this portal manifests. The ritual, chanting her name, or staring into the mirror becomes the key that opens that doorway, letting the spirit, or entity, show itself. Here's the thing, I've never tried doing the ritual myself, and I don't plan to, because I'm genuinely afraid of opening some kind of portal or just having something bad happen in general. But after reading all of these stories and researching all the women this has been linked to, I am most drawn to the idea that this has inadvertently become a summoning spell. The fact that there's a chant and a mirror, it feels like maybe they really are opening some portal. And the thing is, maybe all of the theories on who Bloody Mary really is are correct. What if all of these different women are summoned? So that is why some see the spirit of Queen Mary lingering in mirrors, but others see it as a demonic entity or some kind of natural spirit tied to fear and superstition. And maybe they are angry because this keeps happening to them over and over again. Either way, it's not something I want to experience firsthand. For now, I think I'll stick to reading the stories and letting other people be brave enough to stare into a mirror and call out her name. Bloody Mary. Bloody Mary. So what do you think? Is Bloody Mary really out there? Be sure to follow us on Instagram @OutThereCryptids for episode posts, updates, and more. Join our community on Discord where we dive even deeper into the mysteries we explore here on the podcast. The link can be found on our Instagram. And if you're loving the show, consider supporting us on Patreon. As a patron, you'll get exclusive perks like bonus episodes, early access, and even surprises. See you next week.